Peace. It's Rakeem Allah with Dome TV. I have representing Team Osiris and the Street Sufis, my brother Malik. Appreciate you for coming on, G.
Peace, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm good, fam. I'm good, fam. So,
Yeah.
what with you being a well-read brother now, we know like you deal in research and everything. What
hmm
sparked you to start studying your history like in the beginning?
Uh, really, in the beginning, man, I gotta say when I first seen Spike Lee's Malcolm X,
Mm,
when I first seen that movie, man, I it changed my way of thinking. Really, like
right,
I
right.
was I could say I was so called lost before that or whatever, but after I seen that movie, I
Mm-hmm.
went out and I bought the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read that.
Right, right.
And after I read that, I bought Message to the Black Man by Elijah
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad. And
Mm-hmm.
I read all those. I went through that little phase of just the version of Islam in North America. And then one day I was on YouTube and I seen a lecture from John Henrik Clark. And
Mm-hmm.
that sparked my mind. And I started reading up on African history. And
Mm-hmm.
I was already into science from
Right.
school and stuff like that. So after that, man, I just put it all together
Yeah,
and bring
yeah.
me where I'm at now.
Right. Already, man. So like, yeah, so Malcolm X, that was same here with me as far as like books that kind of inspired me to start studying about my history. Because before then, I had never really, you know, even if we were exposed to certain information, it might not have
Mhm.
resonated or connected the way Malcolm's story did. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
he was a street cat. He knew the streets. He changed his ways. He cleaned himself up, and like became one of the most intelligent and powerful men in the wilderness in North America. You know what I'm saying?
Ever, bro. Yeah,
Right.
that's what got me about Malcolm, cause coming from a background of a person that used to run the streets when he was younger, he
Right.
resonated with me. Like his
Right.
struggle trying to, and I'm like, dang, bro, he became one of the smartest men in the country, and it was motivation, man.
Right.
Malcolm motivation.
Most definitely, man. And you know what? Speaking of Malcolm, I think that's one thing that I dislike about how some people carry Malcolm is they act like his time, like he wasn't like, oh, he was with the Nation of Islam, but he didn't get great until he left and went to,
Nah,
you know, I see
yeah,
that.
he
Right.
was great. He was great in the nation. Like
Yeah,
the
he was
nation
great in the
grew.
nation. He was great
He
outside the
grew the
nation.
membership.
Right.
Malcolm X grew the membership in the nation. Every city he spoke at, he built a mosque.
Right. Right.
So before that, the Nation of Islam was like an underground thing, man.
Right.
People don't do the history though.
Right, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Malcolm was definitely, like him. So that's the thing. And I don't get into the um Malcolm versus Elijah thing or take a side because like they were both needed at that time. It's just
Yep.
sad that they couldn't have come together. But I'm not blaming the nation. I don't necessarily blame the nation for his death either. When we got a movie about Fred Hampton out right now where it's
Mm-hmm.
about a snitch and somebody that was infiltrating the Black Panther Party. Like that's the same thing that happened with all our leaders. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I just watched that movie yesterday too.
What'd you
Yep.
think about it, man?
Uh I liked it, man. It gave it to you from the informant's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, like we'll never get it from Fred perspective. And
Right.
another thing I did like once I did the research is that Fred Hampton's fiance and his son Fred Jr. they both signed off on the movie,
Right. I saw
so
that too.
they let me know that the accuracy was on point
Right.
because she was there the night he was killed.
Right.
So
Right.
can't nobody tell the story better than her. So if they approved it, I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and check it out.
Yeah. And
It
Ryan Coogler, he got a history of,
yeah.
He seemed to keep it as authentic as he can in Hollywood.
Yeah, just like with Coogler, man, when he made Black Panther, he didn't just read the comic books and
Right.
make the movie. He read the comic books and he went to Africa for 2 months to actually study the people and
Mm-hmm.
before he made the movie. See, that's
Right.
that's dedication, man.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. And so in the lessons, it talks about the science of everything in life and
Mm-hmm.
knowledge is infinite, man. And we tend to, gravitate towards what resonates to us. And so I know, you know, we build offline a lot, man, through sound. And I know you've been studying a lot of ancient Kemet. And so, like,
Yeah.
what is it about the Nile Valley civilization that you know has sparked your interest?
See, coming into the conscious community, when I was first studying Africa, the Nile Valley always sparked my interest. But see, the thing about the conscious community is some people teach the Nile Valley. They don't, with any information, man, you gotta sit down and read it for yourself.
Right.
So I was building with the founder of Team Osiris, brother Ngozi, one day, who's building about Kemet. And when he was going in on it, I was like, whoa, like, hold on, man. Like, he talking about different parts of the soul they had and how they adds up with science and how their creation stories add up with science. So I said, okay, I'm about to go back.
Right.
So I gathered up all my books and I ordered some I didn't have that people pointed me to. And I think the reason people study ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet so hard is like, especially with us in North America, man, we've been stripped of so much that we seen a nation built by African people that influenced the world.
Right.
And if you calling yourself Black Power or Pan-African, you should look to all those, you should look to a civilization like that to be like, look, man, this is what we can do. This is how great we are when we put our mind to it.
Right.
And that's the thing that people like Elijah Muhammad was trying to get across to us. When he said our unity is stronger than an atom bomb. When you deal with ancient Kemet, these are African people that came together and built the nation and built creation stories and science, and they influenced the Greeks.
Right.
And as you know, the Greeks influenced the world. So, man, a black man, you got to take pride in it.
Yeah, most definitely. We was building on something the other day, and it kind of, and like it made me want to research more, because I never researched this more, because I never saw it from that perspective about labeling pre-dynastic Kemet as pre-dynastic is somewhat racist, because it was what they said. Narmer went to, you know, he unified the upper and lower kingdoms, but there were already kingdoms, and they were already having a civilization.
And the thing about it was, there's no evidence of it being a separate kingdom in the north when Narmer went up there. So, man, this was a business move, man. The north was close to the Mediterranean. Them the trade routes. Them the trade routes coming through the Middle East. Then the trade routes to the Mediterraneans, what we call them islands that we call part of Greece today. So this was a black man making a power move. He went up there and he took over those trade routes for his kingdom that he already had in the south. And the reason that's slightly racist to say pre-dynastic Egypt, like, you never hear them say pre-dynastic Sumeria.
Never.
Or pre-dynastic Acadia. You don't hear that. Like, all civilizations take time to build. But when it comes to an African civilization, they were like, okay, this is pre-dynastic Egypt and this is ancient Egypt. Like, that's racist, man. And that's how they date Mesopotamia as being older than Nile Valley civilization, because they split in Nile Valley civilization up.
So man, that's real. And like, it's kind of, and to act like that, act like we have dating that is set in stone for the beginning of what you would call Egyptian civilization. Like, we don't, you know what I'm saying? We don't know how.
Nah, we don't.
Like you said, that stuff was the stuff from the old kingdom was old as hell to the stuff
already old
in the middle kingdom.
Like, man, people in the conscious community spend all this time talking about the pyramids and stuff. But the pyramids was built in the old kingdom. Right. By the time we get to the middle and new kingdom, they didn't even have that knowledge to build a pyramid anymore. Because they didn't build anymore. Right. So a person like Ramses the Great or a person like Tutankhamun, he was looking at the pyramids the same way we look at that.
Wow. Right.
And people don't even think about that, man.
Yeah, that's an ill perspective, man. Just to even think about, that was old to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was already ancient.
Right. It was already ancient. And, you know, I think Kemet is definitely, whenever we begin to start studying our history and African history and the history of the original
Mhm.
man. I think Kemet is extremely important just for the simple fact that the white man thought it was important enough for him to tell you you didn't have a part in it.
Exactly.
You know what
And,
I'm
and
saying?
for him to dress up like he's an Egyptian and stuff like this. So
Right,
that's telling you, like,
right.
and even like if you read a old Egyptologist from like the early 1800s, they
Mm-hmm.
slightly racist. Like they
Mm.
still look down on it. They'll call Egypt primitives. And
Right.
it'd be like, what? Like, hold on, like,
Right.
and it show you how racist these people are, man.
Yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. Because I was reading the Nile Valley civilization from Browder the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of read the first two chapters whenever he was talking about the history of it. And he said that some Egyptologists back in the day was even, so racist as to call them dark-skinned Caucasians
Caucasian, yes.
and say that they were Libyans. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that just goes to show right there, man. But with that said, do you think like the whole mythology as far as Kemet goes, like that some people that take it literal are missing out on what the real jewel of it was?
Yep. And I do
Mm.
that. I can say that about any
Mm.
spiritual system or philosophy, man. If you're taking it literal, you're
Right,
missing the jewel.
right.
Like you're not like, okay, like we're dealing with a creation story. Like, okay, Atum is the father of Shu and Tefnut.
Mm-hmm.
Shu and Tefnut is air and moisture.
Mm.
Air and moisture, Shu and Tefnut is the father of the sky and the earth, of
Mm.
Jeb and Newt. So
Wow.
it's showing you the connectedness of nature. If you're
Right,
taking these as literal people, you're
right.
missing the jewel, man.
Man, missing the whole
You're missing the
point.
jewel. Yeah,
Right,
just like Christians that take the Bible literally.
right.
You're missing the jewel when you take stuff literally.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say that too, because like I probably read the Bible and the Quran more than I have at any period last year, and I did
Mm-hmm.
that, and I was doing that just to kind of sharpen up on it because it had been a while, and that's the language that billions of people speak, right? And
Speak. Yep.
so there's a lot of jewels within them, and there are also things that I personally don't subscribe to, right?
Yep.
So, but why do you think that it is so hard for most of our people to like separate the spookism from the reality of it instead of being like, yo, I'm gonna grab the jewel, yo, man, that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, that right there doesn't make sense to me. Like instead they'll try to force it, right, and say, well,
Mm-hmm.
if it's in there then it must be true.
True.
Why you think people, you think it's a fear or
I, I think it's I think fear got a lot to do with it. And I
mm-hmm.
also think us being westernized for 400 years got a lot to do with it. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I study European philosophy and European history, they take a lot of stuff literal.
Right.
And especially with these Abrahamic religions,
Mm-hmm.
these are people that was teaching it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, that caused us to take it literal. And a lot of it is fear
Mm-hmm.
from, especially with the Bible for being in the slave trade,
Right.
if you a slave for life and someone's telling you that you're gonna have heaven after you die, you're gonna wait on death.
Right.
And they done got passed down, man. They got
Yeah.
passed down to us. So
Yeah.
even now, when we go back and study the traditions of Ephi or study traditions of Nile Valley civilization or study the traditions of the Wolof,
Mm-hmm.
we end up taking that literal.
Yeah, I know.
When in
I've been
ancient
peeping that.
times, it was symbolism.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
Right.
man. I think it's just westernization.
No, that's real. That's real. That's a good point. Because I've been peeping that, like, in people's attempt to reconnect with things that are, that original people came up with across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we not necessarily seeing it and practicing it the way that they were, because we practicing it from a westernized viewpoint of how we view gods and deities through Abrahamic faith, when you can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even when you're talking about ghosts and goblins and things of that nature, like the way an African looked at an ancestor is not the way a European looked at a ghost.
Right.
It's a totally different thing here. Like they dropped the jewel. Whoever wrote the script for that Avengers movie, dropped the jewel after remember after T'Challa's father died?
Right.
And Captain America, somebody was telling him, we sorry for your loss.
Right.
And T'Challa saying, where I'm from, we don't believe in death. They dropped the jewel. We didn't believe in death. It was all life.
Wow.
Like we see, when you get heavy into science and mysticism, death and life is all one cycle. Like life don't start or end. It's all life, man.
Right.
This is how you look at it.
Right. And that's why, like the lessons say, Islam has no beginning nor ending. You know what I'm saying?
No ending.
And that's real, man. It's hard to, and that's like you said, that's why science is important. And if you are studying these Abrahamic faiths, it's probably good to study like the mystics in those faiths, because they saw things from a different perspective as compared to somebody that was indoctrinated with just pure dogma. You know what I'm saying?
Dogma. Yeah, that's why I tell people, man, if you gonna be a Jew, study Jewish mysticism. Yeah, be a Kabbalist. If you're gonna practice Islam, be a Sufi.
Yeah.
If you're gonna practice Christianity, be a Gnostic or a Rasta or something. Somebody that can look at it from a different perspective, man.
Right. Yeah, man. And especially with Kabbalah, with Sufism, you're dealing with people's interpretation who were rebels in that society. You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of times where real shit is born through rebelling against what the mainstream is doing.
Like, it's a reason in Saudi Arabia, if you a Sufi, they might kill you, because Sufism is haram to them. It's not to them, it's not right and exact.
Right.
But they real dogmatic about Islam over there. So because man, when you get down to Sufi teachings, they basically teaching the same thing the lessons teaching. When you get down to it, man is God. Yeah. Right. And, Orthodox Islam ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah, that's shirt.
And even when we got Islam in West Africa and we started mixing it with our traditions, they were saying we was doing Shrek and Haram. Right. But we always do our own thing, man.
We were building before about this, that like it's funny how there's a misconception, and I think it makes I don't know if it's on purpose, but it kind of makes us look weak, but it's not true, is the fact that Islam was given to us by the sword, like 100% in West Africa.
Yeah.
Because that's not necessarily true, because in a lot of cases, we did it as a business move and still kept our African tradition. Like it wasn't probably taking no shahada or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like this was
like
politics.
When you talking about yes, man, it was political. When you talking about places like Ouagadougou and Mali and Songhai, this was politics. Now, when Islam entered North Africa, them Berbers got converted by the sword. Right. I can't lie about that. They got converted by the sword. But our ancestors in West Africa, these was the people they was trading with, was the Berbers. And once you get so deep into Islam, the Berbers, they were so deep into Islam by this point, they was not going to do business with you unless you was a Muslim.
I got you.
So, in order for us to keep getting the goods we was getting for them and to keep trading with them, a lot of our leaders start converting. And that's another thing they get wrong. It was mostly like the upper class, the kingship, and the officials that was Muslims. A lot of the regular citizens in the kingdom still practice their old beliefs. And some of the kings still practice their old beliefs. That's why when Arabs would come visit, they'd be like, hold up, he's not they look at Sunni Ali or somebody like that, he's not a real Muslim. Because he kept his tradition, man.
Yeah, what's the name of that book? You know what I'm talking about?
Medieval West Africa.
Yeah. They, if you like really peep, they talking shit throughout that whole book.
yeah. If you really read it, they mad. Like, these people aren't real Muslims.
right. They talking shit, yo.
See, that's why when we get to the West and Elijah Muhammad remixed Islam, he really carried on tradition. But that's what we do anyway. We gonna do it. We always held our tradition. See, especially dealing with West Africa, They wasn't looking at their traditions like a religion. So it wasn't nothing for them to bow their head to Allah.
Right,
and then do a voodoo sacrifice later. It wasn't no difference.
Right. And that's dope that you brought that up, because like that's like whenever you're dealing with, you know, like the Nation of Islam or the Moorish Science Temple or the 5%, like all of this was built and created in the wilderness of North America. That was it was produced from the environment. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The same way they might have seen what they was dealing with was produced from the environment. It was produced from the politics at the time. Like if it wasn't for the system of white supremacy, we might not have gotten
we might not have even created that.
Because it wouldn't have been a need. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, bro. Exactly. Any system you deal with is based on the environment.
Right.
When you're dealing with Ifa, Yemaya, and Oya, all that's based on the environment they was living in.
Right.
You know, even if we're talking about ancient Kemet, they venerating the sun. Okay, like if we're talking about ancient Kemet, Osiris is an agricultural deity. The whole thing about the resurrection is the crops being resurrected. See, it was part of that. They was looking at the environment, man.
Right.
So yeah, the same thing with the Nation of Islam and the Moors and the 5%. Our environment in North America created those belief systems.
Right.
That's you exactly right, bro.
And I'm not necessarily saying that there's not any correlations to things that was created earlier. You know what I'm saying? Because you know there's nothing new under the sun, but as far our experience creates an interpretation of things based on that experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly. Because like, I mean, Orthodox Islam wouldn't work for us here, man.
Right.
And to me, it still don't work for us here.
But if you think about it, Orthodox Islam, yeah, I agree. But if you think about it, Orthodox Islam, that was created from their environment and
their environment. Was going on.
You know what I'm saying?
If you read the Quran, you read some of them hadiths. That's why some Black Americans have become a Muslim, and a month from now you think they was Arab. They talking with an Arab accent and everything. Because when you read them books, it's based on an Arab environment and an Arab culture. Right. So you're really taking on these people's culture. Right.
Nah, yeah, and that's real, and I think that's what's powerful about somebody like Noble Drew Ali or Elijah Muhammad or you know or the father. You know, the father didn't deal in religion, but meaning they were able to look at a system, look at a system, interpret it a certain way where it made sense to us, right? And apply the best parts of it and throw away the part that didn't make sense to us. We didn't care about the poor part, in a sense where like we're only dealing with what is making us better people. You know what I'm saying?
Better. Yeah, man. That's it. Like I say, man, the most important part about those teachings to me is do for self. Out of everything Elijah Muhammad said, the most important thing is the jewel is do for self.
Right.
He's telling you the black man is God and all this. He's giving you these mythology just to tell you that you need to do for self.
Yeah, I know, right? That's
and if you don't understand that jewel, you're not gonna understand nothing else.
Right. That's powerful, man. And like so with that said, like how we building on West Africa, man, in the past 5 years, I've seen the conscious community take a deeper interest in the history of West Africa, especially since DNA testing has been more commercial. How important do you think it is for the children of the diaspora to start to study the history of West Africa?
Man, very important, man. It's very important because, like, man, when you study West African history and culture, you'll see things we still do here in America that we didn't think nothing about, bro. Like, when you study their family systems, like traditional West Africa, there's no such thing as cousins. Everybody in the same family group with common ancestors is considered brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Now, as a person that was born and raised in the diaspora, I grew up at my grandma's house with all my cousins.
Right.
And we was raised like brothers and sisters.
Right.
See, that's cultural continuance that you don't even think about because it's ingrained in you.
Right, right.
You know, that's something we brought with us. So the more you study West Africa, the more you're gonna see yourself. And as far as like DNA testing and things like that, man, there's brothers and sisters every day going to the continent, getting adopted into the tribes. I just watched a video from Dr. Mayat. I just watched one of her videos, man. She was in Cameroon, and the Malik gave her a naming ceremony and adopted her into the tribe, man. So like, man, it's nothing to like. We got no excuse now. Like we was building about the other day, bro. We some of the only people in America that sit here and say we don't have a homeland. But we do have a homeland. Yeah, but we do have a homeland.
Right.
But are you gonna take the steps to connect with your homeland? Right. That's the thing. Like,
but here's
you gotta meet people halfway.
But here's the thing though. So, and I think this is because of lack of genetic understanding and DNA understanding. Like, even though we know this, right? You still have some people in the community that will tell you one or two things. Either that genetic testing and DNA testing is pseudo, right? Or because I heard it, man. You know,
I do every day, bro. I hear it.
And or genetic testing is pseudo, or we are the original people of the whole entire planet, right? And I know, so I know where that comes from, right? But I think they are misinterpreting what that actually means.
They are, man. Because when you really anybody talking about the original man, most people getting that from Elijah Muhammad. But we really study what he was saying. It's more than one kind of original man. Right. Like, there's diversity in people that's indigenous. Like, bro, our genetics are indigenous to West Africa. Right. Someone else's genetics might be indigenous to North America. Right. Even when we talking about the white boy, most white people in America, their genetics is indigenous to Western Europe, where they come from. Right. So it's more than one ways to be indigenous or be original. Like you said, they misinterpreting.
Right. So and so with that, I've in the same 5 years, you know, I've seen segments of the community that are disregarding like DNA and genetic evidence and teaching that the Black man's origin is somewhere else, right? And you know, we've all seen it. And so like at one point, with people like John Henry Clark or Dr. Ben or just any historian, especially any Black historian, right? That has never been a thing to where we said that, hey, we're not, our ancestry doesn't go back to Africa, right? Like, exactly. I ain't never seen that, right? And so,
and bro, and John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben didn't have genetic testing either. They didn't have the tools we got.
Right. They didn't need it, right?
Exactly.
But look, because like my thing is, there's things that we named our institutions as far as like the church that Richard Allen, like the
AME church,
right? You had the Free African Society. You had Prince Hall.
What was Prince Hall, the African Lodge.
Right, right. And you had and then recently, remember, they came out with some they found a sermon from a preacher in the 18th century who addressed a Black preacher who addressed his congregation as African Americans. This was in the 18th century, right?
Exactly.
So without genetic testing, like just say we put that to the side, like what evidence?
We already knew who we are.
We came from somewhere else.
And you got to think, bro, at the time Prince Hall was alive, it was still slave ships coming in. So they know exactly where these people coming from.
Right. Damn, you're right about that. It was still
the 1700s.
Yeah, man.
The trade didn't stop to the 1800s. Yeah. So while Prince Hall alive, a lot of his people still coming in on ships. He know where his people from, man. Like we got to look at that.
Yeah. That's real though, man. That's real. I mean, yeah, that's a great connection. Cause like, yeah, he was there in real time.
He was there in real time.
So, but with a lot of people denying it now, who are quote unquote in the conscious community, like, where do you? So I understand two things. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I understand the debate where some people say, "Hey, the brothers from Mali took a voyage out here," right?
Yep.
Okay, so whether that happened or not, I can understand the argument. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I don't understand the argument that says we are indigenous to America. Like,
yeah, that
doesn't make any sense to me.
It don't make no sense, man.
It don't, man.
Okay. First of all, you got to study basic genetics.
Right.
Homo sapiens sapiens as a species is 98% the same.
The same, bro.
So that means we all humans, period, have a common origin.
Right.
So we all, technically, all humans come from Africa,
right,
from East Africa, from a small group of people that went out. So if you're gonna say you indigenous to America, you always been here, first of all, you gotta show me why you 98% the same as every other human on the planet.
Right.
We all come from a common location.
Right.
So even if you've been here, you had to come from somewhere else.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
Like people didn't pop up in different places at once. It don't work like that.
Exactly.
If we did, it'd be more genetic diversity between us.
And so it's Africa is the most genetically diverse place
on the planet,
in the entire world. Right.
Because the people that left out was only mixing with small groups of people.
Right.
The people that stayed on the continent, has the most diversity on the planet. Right.
And so, like, where do you think it comes from? It's like, because like I said, 60s, 70s, 80s, there was no confusion about
at all.
Where we came from, right? Or the story of us being kidnapped on the shores of West Africa and brought to the wilderness of North America. Now it seems as if there are new, organizations popping up and coming up, and people getting, a little bit of fame by misleading the people. Like, so what do you? Because what's the book? They came before Columbus. Even whether you agree with that or not, that book ain't saying that we indigenous.
Nah,
that's not what that.
I don't even agree with Van Sertima. Right. But when I read the book, Van Sertima not saying you was always here either.
Right.
And they'll try to use his book, and I'm like, bro, his book don't even say that.
Right.
Like you misconstruing his argument.
Right.
And I think a lot of it, bro. Honestly, a lot of it comes from self-hate, man, for being in the West. Because I remember, like, even think about growing up, when you watch like Westerns and stuff, Native American culture is like shown here in America a lot. When we get shown Africa here, we get shown poor people with flies on their face and stuff like this. Like they don't teach us about the Mali Empire. They don't teach us about Songhai and the Yoruba kingdoms and the kingdom of Congo. They don't teach us about that. And when they do teach us about the Nile Valley, they tell us it's in the Middle East. So we have no great African, unless you do study yourself like we do. Most people in America look down on Africa, man. And somehow they done made in their head that being a Native American is better, which I respect my Native brothers and sisters, but I'm not choosing anything over the motherland, man.
Right.
And when you really study, you'll know why.
Right.
It's just like a lot of it's self-hate. And I think a lot of these dudes teaching that stuff, after seeing that movie yesterday, I think a lot of these dudes is COINTELPRO.
Hey, it might be,
like,
bro, because they show act like it, man.
Like,
they show act
bro.
like it. They
like, for real, bro.
Shit, bro.
Like, whenever you see that Judas and the Black Messiah, you're going to look at this whole community different. It's going to be like, okay, a lot of these dudes is plants, man.
Nowadays, it wouldn't be hard to infiltrate none of this shit.
Nah, because you got to think, man. They infiltrated the Panthers and they didn't have no internet.
Right.
All you got to do today is make a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy,
make
man.
a Facebook page with a fake picture on there, and
with fake pictures and fake news stories, and you'll have 100 followers by the end of the day.
Yeah, real talk. I think, like, my thing about, well, first, that's one of the reasons why I asked you about how important it was begin to study your history as far as, not just the history of the Black man in America or ancient Kemet, but like why it's important to study West Africa as well.
Yep.
The thing that I like just studying, like a lot of the people that say that we are like, so some not only say that we're indigenous to North America, right? They say that we are the Native Americans, right? Right. And so I know, I know, bro, it's wild, man. But and so we know that so with me and you, we study science. The brothers that we build with on a daily, we study science. And so you know that there are genetic links from Siberia to Clovis culture in North America. We have proof of arrowheads that were found in Siberia that are made similar to arrowheads that were found in the first, like the first artifacts of Native Americans here in North America. And you can even look at the Inuit people, right? And so like whenever they walk the Bering Strait, it's not as if they were just coming to one location. Like
exactly,
they would walk while during that walk, some would settle here, some would settle there, and you could still see them there, right?
There.
And then
I think a lot of people, bro, when we talk about ancient human migrations like this, people these people didn't know where they was going.
Right.
They was just walking, bro. They following food. They following resources. These people had no idea where they was going.
Yeah. They didn't have a map, bro. They didn't have
wasn't no maps. They was going where the resources were. If the food going this way, we going this way.
Right. So with that said, like whenever it comes to studying the origin of man, period, right? Or where different peoples come from, how important is understanding genetics and migration routes when you put in that story together?
Oh, it's very important, man. To the brother, like I tell the brothers that, like, hey, man, I'm a real native. I'm this. I'm a Cherokee. Okay, you got to show and prove, because if you're related to these people, you're supposed to have specific genetic signatures. Specific. See, really, at the end of the day, when they study in genetics, they also study. You supposed to have specific immune responses too.
Right.
Like, okay, according to my DNA, I'm anywhere from, depending on the test, I'm anywhere from 87 to 93% sub-Saharan African, which means I have immunities that match with people in West Africa. I have sickle cell trait.
Right.
Sickle cell trait developed
for malaria,
for malaria in the wet green Sahara. So that's telling me that I have an ancestor that was in that area.
Wow. Right.
It's specific haplogroups you have to have to say you're related to these people. It's just specific things you have to come out and say, I'm a Native American.
Right. Real talk. And I think a lot of them, I think that's when they get into the argument that either that's the white man's science and you can't depend on that, right? But like, what other evidence do you have? You know what I'm saying?
Like I mentioned, the sickle cell trait. Most people with sickle cell in America are African Americans. We developed that trait in West Africa.
Wow.
That's letting you know where we come from.
Right.
Like all that, man. Archaeology, genetics, history. When you're trying to tell your story, you have to put all that stuff together, man.
All of it together. And that's
like it's dudes out here, bro, telling me they native. They can't name me one Native American deity.
Not one. You
got to know the culture.
Quetzalcoatl, they don't know none of that.
Nothing. I know more about Native American religion than they do. And so it's like, come on, man.
Right. And then you would also see a cultural link with, all right, so here's the thing. You mean to tell me that if we were the real Native Americans, right, we wouldn't have kept none of that culture?
Exactly, bro.
We wouldn't have kept none of it.
And even if we want to deal with Abu Bakari coming over here, even if we want to do, I took the last name Camara. That's a Mandinka name. So, I rep the Mali Empire. I love it. So if you want to deal with Abu Bakari coming over here, he was a Orthodox Sunni Muslim. If they would have came over here and colonized, Columbus would have seen mosque when he got here. Because one thing about a Muslim, if they
He's
go
gonna
to
build a
another
mosque
area,
wherever he
they're
goes.
gonna build a mosque, man.
Mhm.
So I ain't even go. If he made it over here and colonized the area, you see mosque, you see everything.
Mhm.
And I'll say this though, I'll give him a leg on that. If Abu Bakari did made it, according to the book, he didn't have that many people with him, according to the oral tradition.
Right.
So if they did make it, after a
They'll
few
get
hundred
swallowed up.
years, they assimilated into native culture.
Their great
That's
grandkids
if
will
the
be
native.
native.
That's if the natives didn't kill them when they landed, because they're like,
Right.
"Who is this?" So
Right.
anything could happen, man.
Yeah, no, that's real. And so like if he got there, right? Let's say he had 200 people. There was, before Europeans came, there was 100 million
Exactly.
on the
And
continent.
bro, and people didn't travel with their women.
No.
So when
They were
those
co-created
200
with the native
Mandinka
women.
got here, they only had native women to sleep with when they
Right.
got here.
Right.
So after about 3 generations, their grandchildren gonna be Native American.
Yep.
That's what would have happened, bro.
Real talk. That's
they
real.
wouldn't even remember nothing about Mali or anything like that.
What about for the people that bring up, okay, so what about the Olmec kids? They have big noses, big lips, as if that is solely an African trait, right? Those traits are more in tune with tropical climates. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's why, and like you said, that's why understanding science is important, man.
Right.
And people, when they do that,
I've seen East Africans with like alkaline noses, thin lips, like,
I made a post about that, bro. So-called Caucasoid features, all them alkaline features, that's indigenous to Africa too.
Right.
They only calling it Caucasian because the white dude that named it thought that the Caucasus area had the most beautiful women. And he thought that, and they're shaped like that. So now they'll call a Maasai sister with them features whose ancestors have never left Africa. They'll call her a Caucasian.
Right.
It's racist,
crazy.
Man. And that's another reason. Understand, and when you understand science, we catch them on bullshit like that.
Right.
And people saying the Olmec heads, they got to be a black man. But you sound like a racist white supremacist. You saying all black people got big nose and big lips?
Right.
Like,
right.
Okay, I got big nose and big lips, but my mother doesn't. That's my mother though. So what you saying, man? Like, it's crazy. It's racism, white supremacy for one, for them to even think that it's got big nose, it's got to be African. Like, it's crazy, man.
Right. No, that's real. Like, and we are simply looking at the features of an inanimate object and saying that this is proof that we are them.
And like you said,
that's a reach.
Those are tropical features. Anywhere where people live in a tropical, if you live in below the equator, your ancestors look like that.
Right.
I could point to Aboriginal Australians. I could point to sub-Saharan Africans, to people in South America, Mexico.
Right.
If your people come from below the equator, more than likely those are the features you're gonna have.
Right. So if you just for the people that are going to tune in that are like new to the science of genetics, can you explain as far as whenever you took your DNA test and your results and what it means?
Man, I had been planning to take it for a while. We had this thing in Team Osiris. He was like, okay, we pushing genetics. Everybody get a genetic test. I was probably the last person to get mine. So I waited them 6 weeks. And man, I opened that thing and it said 93% African, bro. I almost partied.
Right.
The thing about being in the West, they always teach you, oh, you're so watered down. And you're this and you're that. To see that 93% of my genes were indigenous to Africa was beautiful to me. It's almost like I'm damn near pure. Like that was big for me, man. And I mostly connect genetically with people from Mali, from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana, and the Congo. And that's beautiful to me. It's people in the diaspora, it's people in America and the Caribbean. We make up a mosaic of Africa. Like we have all those powerful people.
South America too.
Yeah, South America too. Like, bro, like that's why I say studying West Africa is important, because you gonna see you had an ancestor in the Yoruba Kingdom, you had an ancestor in the Mali Empire,
Right.
you had an ancestor in the Congo. Like, that's how you're powerful, man. But people, man, they don't realize how powerful we are, bro.
Right.
They really don't.
It's funny, and like, and that with genetic testing and learning the migration, and that's what I learned to start. Like, that's what, like, y'all brothers from Team Osiris, just building with y'all on a daily basis years ago. That's what made me start studying migration routes, right?
Yep.
Because the genetics are going to tell the story of the migration. It's like it goes hand in hand, right? And so if you are going to tell me that, hey, these people are indigenous to this land, then you should also be able to tell me where they came from before then, right? Because unless you're saying they just grew out of the dirt, right? They came from somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, bro, I can show you tribes in northern Russia and in Siberia. They build teepees just like the natives in North America.
Right.
Like, they're showing you they carry the Pacific culture with them, man.
Right. And it's like you said, a cultural continuum where like, yeah, that's real. And
like, bro, we from the Carolinas. Most of our ancestors got brought here because they could grow rice.
Right.
Senegal and all that was the rice coast.
Wow.
They're showing you we brung that here.
Right.
The white boy didn't know how to grow rice. He had to come get us to grow rice.
Wow.
So there's specific stuff in culture that you have to be able to show and prove for you to jump out the window and say, hey, I'm this people. And it don't work like that.
It doesn't. You're right. So you have to have the science of it. You have to have you have to show me culturally, right? You have to, because normally whenever you're doing that for a claim that is true, it won't be hard to show that. You know what I mean? It's
exactly, bro.
To show like there are maroon colonies in Jamaica and the Caribbean that still speak like African languages.
Yeah. Some of the maroon communities in Jamaica still speak languages you find in Ghana. They have loan words still.
Right.
Right here in South Carolina, the Gullah Geechee, they got loan Mandinka words in their language. It's a video, man, on YouTube. I want to say it's called the Gullah Geechee Mende Connection, but it's a song that the Gullah Geechee ladies used to sing, and somebody recorded it. Wow. And he went to Africa. He went to Sierra Leone. He was doing research, and he played the song. And someone said, "Hey, that's a song we sing in our village."
Wow.
So that's when they figured out, like, hold on, the Gullah language has words from the Mende language.
Right.
These are some of the people y'all come from.
Right.
So you got to have connections like that. That's why it's important to study West African history, man.
Right.
Or you're not going to see those connections.
Right. And, and so do you think that there, as far as in West Africa, there's a lot of talk with some people who are who like to promote division, right? About them not liking this. But before we get into that, do you think that they in West Africa are even being taught the story about us and what happened in America?
Oh yeah, man. It's a lot of people just don't know, man. It's a sister from South Africa who just joined Team Osiris, matter of fact. She with the sister, she with Tiffany, she with Team Isis. And we was building with her. And she said when she was growing up in South Africa, they didn't even learn other African history. Only history they learned was South African history.
Wow.
She said a lot of her friends and stuff still look down on Nigerians as being poor and stuff. Like, so they don't even learn continental Africa. Some of them don't even learn continental African history. Right. So when I tell a brother that's ADOS or FBA or something like that, how are you expecting them to know African American history and they don't even know the history of the nation that's right next door to them? Right. Like that's crazy. Like, we from in the West, man, our education system we learn everything almost. And it's still some stuff we don't learn. Now, don't get me wrong. It is some continental Africans. There's some house Negroes. Some of them is.
Right.
But it's also some African Americans that's some house Negroes.
Right.
People be worried about, I'm not going to let one dude, first of all, I'm not going to let some coonish continental African tell me I'm not African. That's my birthright, just like it's yours.
Right.
So that's one thing. And they shouldn't let Uncle Tomish African American turn them against us either. Because what I'm on is just build with like minds, man, no matter where they from. Right. And you won't have to worry about that. You made
a good point too, man. And it's like, to keep it in perspective, it ain't even like you got people in America, as far as Black people in America, especially the 85%, they don't know their own history. So expecting people all over the world to be an expert on your history and have an understanding of your plight doesn't make sense, because you're not even holding your own people to the same standard.
And a lot of people around the world, they only exposure to African American culture is through entertainment.
Right.
So if I grow up and the only African Americans I see is Lil Uzi Vert or Future or somebody like that, I'm gonna have my mind. I'm gonna look at them like, oh, are they all like this?
Right.
Like, you got to realize, like, when they show us to the world, they show our worst, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
they show our worst, man.
Yeah,
people don't understand that though.
Right.
Like, I be building with brothers from the UK. Only thing America, all they do is listen to drill rap. So they already got a screw vision on what
they think we all turned up.
Exactly, man.
Right.
Exactly.
It's funny, like it's kind of, it seems like at one point we had artists that were getting worldwide attention that were on some shit, like on some real shit. But it just seems like once things became so much of a business, you know what I mean, as far as the music game, like, you don't see that. I mean, we still have the same cultural impact, right? You gotta, people, Blacks in America are probably, as far as the world goes, we're probably the trendsetters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we so-called African Americans, Black American, whatever you call yourself, we're the most influential people on the planet, man.
Right.
All day. And the thing about that is, whether we influence it negatively or positively, we're the most influential.
Yeah. And that's kind of deep, man. Because like I've often thought sometimes, like, it's going to be up to us here to make the whole world a better place.
Yeah. Because if we on bullshit, they gonna be on bullshit. Bro, it's drill rap in Australia, the UK, Japan, China.
Right.
They're showing our influence. So, but we influencing negativity.
Bro, I seen a radio station that said that they were going to have an hour of playing trap music from Arabia. I said, man, what?
Bro, I was watching that show I was telling you about, Warrior. After every episode, they have a Chinese hip hop song come on.
Oh wow.
Dude came on, he sounded just like Future, bro. He was speaking Chinese. I was like, wow. And I was like, whoa, man, like, we really influenced the planet.
Right.
Either negatively or positively. So that's like, we got to be careful about the content we putting out, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I had a brother from the UK. There's a brother from the UK I'm about to do a show with. The brother's a Crip, bro.
Wow.
Like, that was mind blowing to me. I was like,
how you get over there?
Exactly.
You gotta find that out for me.
And everything.
Yeah,
when I do the show, man, that's crazy. So I'm just like, it wowed me though. It's like, wow, like, we really influence the world. We don't even know it though.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, man, that's deep. Like, and I think that if a lot of times, for the most part, us as a whole, we don't understand our power and influence because we don't go nowhere, right? And
exactly,
you can't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Most African Americans ain't never left the country, bro.
Right.
So I know brothers ain't never left their city.
Me too. I know a lot. Yeah, me too, bro.
That's another thing, man, bro. Especially when this COVID thing died down a little bit, get them passports and see the world. It's a big world out there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And the lessons speak about like the planet Earth and the square mileage being 196
Mm-hmm.
million 940,000. And the thing about it is like you could quote it, but now I'm at the point where I want to see it. You know what I'm saying?
And like, if you really reading it, it's telling you that the West is the worst part.
They,
So
ain't it? It's the poor,
bro, we walk,
the poor
brothers
part
walk
of the
around,
worst part.
brothers walk around quoting lessons and never seen the best part.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
so man, we gotta do better, man.
Yeah,
As
yeah, I
everybody,
agree.
man.
We gotta yeah, I agree, man, because we get in a comfort zone here in our
Mm-hmm.
in our small circles when we should be expanding. Like in these places we go, let's say we go link up with some brothers from the UK, and then we link up with some brothers from Africa, we link up with some brothers from California, and we create our own network of shit that we have.
Exactly. Because no matter where we at on the planet, we being oppressed.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's fact.
like,
We had that in
that's why
common.
that's why diaspora wars are dumb to me.
Man,
Because
I hate
if I
this.
move to the UK tomorrow, I'm gonna be oppressed.
Yeah,
If I move to the Caribbean tomorrow, I'm gonna be oppressed.
right.
So that's something we all have in common.
Bro,
like we got to these areas the same way.
right. I'm seeing something too that you said that, man. I'm seeing something where now we have some people who are brothers and sisters who are like buying into the fact that um oppression doesn't exist in America as far as towards the black community, and there's no effects slavery and Jim Crow on our communities. And bruh, I think it's for the fact that we can make a dollar, right?
That's all it is, capitalism, man.
Yeah, but the thing about it is though, just because we can make a dollar, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no oppression. First off,
Oppression.
Once we make that dollar, we giving that dollar right back.
Right back, bro.
And
brother gonna go buy Balenciaga that day.
Yeah, and then also, even if you're not like fucking it off on stupid shit like that, you paying rent to white people, you got your money in a white bank. Like it's like the institutional part of it, the part that's subtle, the part that you can't really just put your finger on, that it's there, right? That's the part. See, like we start to think that like individual racism where somebody call you a nigga or they like what they consider a hate crime, right?
Yeah,
like,
they think
so
that's
how they
racist.
have these things that are hate crimes, but they don't ever consider the institutional shit that is oppressive to non-white people as a hate crime. That's part of the system.
One thing I tell brothers and sisters to be on that racism don't exist stuff. If race didn't matter, they wouldn't ask for it on job applications still.
Right.
Like, why should it matter what the color of my skin is if I'm qualified for the job?
Right.
Before they even ask you for your work history, they want to know if you white, black, African American, Pacific Islander.
Bro, like that's real.
If race didn't matter, they wouldn't ask for
why
it
you asking
every application.
Man, I even seen a study that said two things crazy, bro. This is some real institutional shit, and this is some, and it's not only that does racism exist? On what level don't it exist? Because check this out. For one, there was a study that was done that said like they were showing that people that had names that were like ethnic names, right? They'll put their they'll put their application to the side, not even interview them, right? Now they created I forgot what company did, but they created it's kind of like a virtual HR manager, right? And it works on AI. And that motherfucker is discriminating against the algorithm is discriminating against ethnic names.
Because the dude that built it was probably a racist.
Exactly.
See what I mean? But that's what I'm saying, bro. That's even remember the lady Rachel Dozell that was supposed to be transracial or whatever. She can't find a job because she identifies black. She's a white woman.
Right. So
that's telling you, man.
Man, you kind of brought up something I wanted to touch on, and it's ADOS, right? And when I first heard them, I heard the talk of reparations, And that's gonna make your antennas go up because we know what's
Yeah.
owed to us. And we know that it's, theoretically that that money belongs to us. We were owed
Definitely.
that through slavery, all of that. But then, you peep what they talking about, right? And they were dissing, first off, they were dissing Pan-Africans. They were dissing, Africans, Jamaicans, Haitians, Cubans, all these black people, Puerto Ricans, all these black people of the diaspora. They was dissing them. And it was like, what that got to do with our fight for reparations? I didn't understand
Exactly.
it. And then they post and they bills on YouTube would be about what some coon in Africa or Jamaica did, as if that represents the whole, right? And it's like
Yeah.
less about reparations and more about, driving a wedge between the children of the diaspora.
Yep.
Did you peep that?
Yeah, I peeped that because when I first hold on 1 second, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right, bet.
My fault, bro.
No, you good, G.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I first heard of ADOS, bro, I was like, okay, somebody talking about reparations. Like I hadn't heard the word in a long time. I thought brothers forgot about it.
Right.
So I started watching them. The second video, I see the first video I watched, I can't remember the name, but it was cool. So I subscribed.
Right. Yeah.
Then I get a subscription from I get a notification from your vet page. Name of the video is Pan-Africanism is Dead. I was like, hold on, what? So I was like, hold up. So I was like, I gave him a few minutes and I'm like, nah, see, I see what y'all on, man. See, that's COINTELPRO behavior to me. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. As a brother that was born in the diaspora, I'm old. Yes, I have rights on this land that I'm owed. I understand that.
Right.
But I'm not giving away my legacy in the motherland for it. Like that's like why can't I? Why do I have to identify as a descendant of slave and only that to get my money for one?
Right.
Because I mean, the China man got his reparations for when they put him in them camps during World War II. He didn't stop identifying with China to get that money. No matter if he's been in America for 200 years.
Jewish people didn't change their religion. Jewish people didn't change their religion when they got their money, right?
Exactly. That Jewish man could be born in Central Europe, been there his whole life. He gonna tell you he descend from Abraham and Isaac. That's what he gonna tell you, bro. He's not gonna get that up. We the only people. So that's what I'm saying, man. They done taught us to hate Africa. Yeah, we think we got to give Africa up to get something from America. Like that's crazy, bro. And the same people we getting the check from call you an African American.
Yeah, right.
He know where he got you from, bro. Like he's not confused at all. Yeah, he's not confused at all about the situation. Yeah, it's messed up. Like he do everybody. See, Elijah, like I say, man, he do everybody like that though. He even hyphenate. He called them Native American. Right. He didn't even ask them what they called the land. Right. He just called them a Native American. Like he disrespectful like that. Right. So this man done disrespected you for 400 years. And you think you got to give up who you were before you came here to get money from them? It don't make sense to me, man. It's really crazy, bro. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's definitely so. All right, I look at things like from this perspective where you had a lot, like, so since we got here and then we began to slowly build our society up and build our organizations, and you have stuff like, Prince Hall Masonry was like one of the first ones, right? And then you have Marcus Garvey and the UNIA, and then Noble Drew Ali Moore Science Temple, Nation of Islam, 5%, the Black Panther Party, MOVE. You have all of these different organizations that were created to benefit original people in America and at home and abroad, actually, right? And none of them, not even the Hebrew organizations that were created back then identify with the motherland because they were so close to, like their grandfathers were, they might have been directly from Africa and have been brought.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so now that it just kind of baffles me that we are willing to leave all of that behind and start to act like brothers like Kwame Ture and Elijah Muhammad and Dr. Clark and like all of these people didn't know what they was talking about, right?
Talking about, bro.
Like that's some bold shit to say, man.
And I see people try to use the Panthers, but I actually read these brothers' word. They wasn't anti-African. The only reason the Panthers identified with America is to show the hypocrisy of America that they're not living by their constitution. But if you read who he knew and worked, he'll tell you he come from, his ancestors came from Africa.
Right.
It's a scene in that movie where Fred Hampton was like, he was banging on brothers at dashikis. Now, one of my brothers took it the wrong way, but I understood what he was saying because the whole point of the speech was, he said, we want to dress up what we think the motherland look like. He said, why we ain't dressing up with AKs like our brothers in Angola in the revolution?
Wow. Right.
Why we not dressing up like our brothers in the revolution in Mozambique?
You're pretty much saying you got a costume on what you think it looked like to be from the motherland. What about you're gonna do that?
But they in the motherland, they having a revolution.
Right.
Why you ain't dressing up like that?
Right.
You know, like that's real stuff though.
Yeah.
He was talking. Like these people when none of our elders anti-African, man. There's some new age stuff.
Yeah.
There's some new age stuff, man.
But the sad part about it is there are a lot of people that are jumping on that bandwagon, especially people who call themselves conscious, who may even have a platform where people follow them. And the lessons tell you that the 85% are led in the wrong direction. And
easily
to be led away from what your genetics identify you as. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. That's crazy. You got to have more intellectual integrity than that. And I understand some that may have been led astray by just because they didn't know any better, right? But you can't tell me some of these cats know better. They just
know better.
Willingly doing this shit.
Like, bro, the most idiotic thing that baffles me, bro, is Richard Dawkins, who's a geneticist. And he writes some good books. He's a good geneticist, but Richard Dawkins, he kind of racist too, But Richard Dawkins always says, I'm a proud African ape. So this is a white racist man.
Wow.
Right? To say he's proud to be from Africa, right?
Right.
But a black man, like, no, I ain't no African. Like, it baffles me, man. Like, I don't, like, how did we get here? Like, I think
they just can't connect anything great from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they can't. They can't, man. The birthplace of humanity. But see, they don't study, man.
Right.
They don't study. But see, this is why I hit them with. I said, okay, Africa ain't got no greatness. What greatness do you see in a Native American? And that's not to diss my Native American brothers. Right. But I'm like, what are you getting from this culture that you're not getting from Africa? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, Native Americans have a beautiful culture. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
but so do we.
Right. That's all it's about. And that's what so that's how we're supposed to be building. We're supposed to be sharing our culture and with others and them share their culture with us instead of us appropriating and stealing and
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's one thing I got from that, bro. When you get a chance to watch that movie, man, watch it. There's one thing I got from it, man. Fred was building a rainbow coalition.
I saw that, man. I saw that.
Chicago got
the Young
a lot
Lords
of white
and all of that, right?
And they got a lot of white racist gangs too.
Yeah.
So Fred walked up in their meeting and was like, "Yo," and the white dude was like, "Well, my people was oppressed." And one of the black dudes said, "You ain't nothing but an overseer." Fred said, "Shit, why don't the overseer and the slave both kill the slave master?" Like he was on some other stuff, man. People weren't thinking like that,
right?
And
21 years old, man.
21 years old, bro. When I was 21 years old, I was thinking death and destruction, bro.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man.
So that's why it amazed me. It's like, damn, bro, like, bro, I could be doing so much more right now, man.
Right.
It really is like, whoa.
Right. And like a lot of people, a couple people had asked me why they named it that, right? And I had to break down, J. Edgar Hoover and how he was talking about, like COINTELPRO is aimed at, taking down the Black Messiah, man. And like when you think about like brothers like Fred Hampton, brothers like Martin, brothers like Malcolm, and all the people that they. So we look at the ones that they killed, right? But they also infiltrated organizations with drugs and all kind of other stuff, and took them and took a lot of people off their square.
Hey, bro,
right?
I don't mean to cut your wisdom. Give me one moment, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
One moment.
I bet. Okay, but yeah, like I was saying, we had a lot of organizations that were infiltrated with not just physical death, but adding things like confusion and backbiting and drugs that were all produced by infiltration within these groups, that they understood the power of our unity. Because the reason I'm seeing that is because I'm seeing now, bro, I promise you, man, I ain't gonna name no names, but I seen people with really with big platforms who are now teaching that unity with the original man is overrated, and that shit don't make sense.
Yeah, it really don't, man.
Yeah, he said that our unity is stronger than a hydrogen bomb. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it is, bro. That's why. See, that's why earlier we was talking about ancient civilizations. We were talking about ancient Kemet. We was talking about Malik and places like that. These are Black people coming together and building nations.
Right.
I think
that's a context that people don't really understand. So, these are Black people that are coming.
Together. When we talking about the Nile Valley, we talking about Kemet, we talking about Nubia, we talking about Mali and Songhai. We're talking about so-called Black people, because they didn't call themselves that.
Right.
That's another thing that was put on us over there.
Right.
We're talking about Black people coming together, building nations. We got Moors running around here talking about they sovereigns, but they got a United States of America Social Security card.
Right.
No, we talking about we had real sovereign nations. We was nationals.
Right.
And we was doing big things. But now we're like, oh no, unity, that's not. So who are you unifying with, man?
Right.
And see, that's why I say, man, white supremacy come in all colors in 2021, man.
It really does, man. And you can't have a nation and nobody to trade with. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, so why would you want to cut off resources from all over the world just because?
Okay. Like you were saying about ADOS. You want to be ADOS. You want to get your reparations. But you're going to spend it back with the people that gave it to you. Right. So when you go to trade with the Caribbean, they ain't want to mess with you because you talk junk about it.
Right.
The brothers on the continent ain't going to want to trade with you because you talk junk about them. So who are you left? Who's left? You can't nation build without having conglomerates with other nations. Yeah. And I'd rather build with nations of people like me than nations of other people. So I mean, what's the end game, man?
Right. That's what even like Kwame Nkrumah was, like he understood the fact that we have to be unified. See, unified doesn't mean that we have to all think the same and all agree about frivolous things, man. It just means that we come together for one common cause, and that common cause being our liberation and the success of our nation. And I'm not necessarily I'm not talking about the United States of America in a sense. I'm talking about the nation that we build for ourselves, whether it's a nation within a nation, or if we were, got our nationhood somewhere else, like regardless to whom or what, we are, if we consider ourselves a nation and function like a nation, we will be a nation. And so like they even spoke about in that book, Black Power, about from Kwame Ture, because that's what I'm currently reading right now. So it's fresh.
Oh man, I had to pull that, but I'm gonna pull that back out, bro. That's one of my favorites.
It's heavy, man. And he was saying that we are, as a community, as a Black community in America, we are like the colony, right? And the European is the colonizer. And so whether we are consider ourselves a nation or not, we are being treated as a nation and being colonized as one,
as a
both
nation,
mentally and
exactly.
financially. You know what I'm saying? So whether you see the value in nation building or not, they see the value in nation destroying. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's one of my favorite scholars, bro.
Yeah, mine too.
Toure, man. You matter of fact, I just got his other book, From Black Power to Pan-Africanism. I'm about to start that too, man.
I gotta cop that.
Like he had they talking about some of the ideological differences he started having with the Panthers and stuff like that. But but at the end of the day, he was basically saying like Pan-Africanism is black power. Like he didn't change his platform. He just realized that building amongst our numbers here in America not gonna work. You got to have allies.
Yeah. You got to have
allies.
What is it?
Like you can't go to war.
Million here?
Yeah. Like even when the United States of America, this is a superpower. Even when they go to war, they still have allies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't do it by yourself.
You can't do it by yourself, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of change the direction real quick and ask you, like with Team Osiris, it was started by our brother Ngozi, who is obviously one of the best minds that we have, like in the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man. With the focus on scientific literacy within the hood and within the community, can you tell me why that is important?
Man, understanding science is important because, for one, it takes the spookism out of who our enemy is, for one. Because, I mean, a lot of these boys in the streets will kill their brother, but they dead scared of Europeans. But, once you learn evolution, you see he ain't nothing but a mutated African himself. He just mutated real bad and got messed up. So that takes the spooky, like I'm his daddy. Technically. So they take the spookism out of that. And understanding science is important, man, because a lot of these false beliefs that we were talking about earlier, if people studied science, they wouldn't even exist, man. And you mentioned brother Ngozi, man. The way that brother teach science ain't like how a lot of these other brothers in the community teach science. He's teaching science so we can better ourselves as a people. A lot of people teaching science to assimilate. And
or to
things of that nature.
act like they're more intelligent than the man.
Intelligent than the other. Like, that's one thing, man. That's what drawn me to Team Osiris. Like when I would build with bro, he never talked, even though he know more than me. He always builds with me, and you know that from building with him with the street Sufis. He always builds with us as an equal, because about him, it's about building and destroying. Like the more we know, the better off we all are as a unit. That's the most important thing, man.
And then we
go ahead, bro.
Teach one. You know what I'm saying? And
then, that's what it is, man. And I notice people I met in this community that come from street backgrounds, like you and brother Ngozi and brother Carlos, or some of the realest brothers, man, because we always wasn't on this path, So we really got in this path for genuine reasons to better ourselves. We ain't out here trying to finesse money from people. We trying to each one teach one, man.
Yeah, that's real. That's powerful. You right, man, because like I didn't become a 5%er because it was a trendy thing to do. I was at a point in my life where I was looking for something I was looking for the meaning of the world, right? You know what I'm saying? I was looking for something that would give me a foundation to begin the process of cleaning myself up and becoming like the person who I saw myself being in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
And so you're right. Like, so that's real, man. That's an honorable thing, man, because like I see, especially with the youth, them getting in the STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, man. Like that's how you build. That's really how you nation build. Don't get me wrong. We'll have to have our coach. We'll have to have our people that protect things culturally, right? We have to have the griots that teach the history. but we gotta have the architects to build the foundation.
You got to have the architects, man. Exactly, bro. Man, like I say, all these ancient civilizations we talk about in Africa, Steam built those nations, man.
Right.
Steam built that mosque in Timbuktu.
Yep.
Steam beat that pyramid and that temple.
Yep.
You know, so you got to have all that, man. You got to have scientists. People think nation building. See, people get it misconstrued, man. They think you just run out here with guns and march on people and you're a revolutionary. Like, nah, man. You got to make sure the children fed. You got to make sure. You got to make sure the people got health.
Right.
It's a lot to it, man. Everybody
has a part to play, right?
Part, man. Yeah. And a lot of things I see in the conscious community, like people don't play a position. People want to be a jack of all trades. Like, nah, man, master what you do.
Yeah, that's real. Because that's real, man.
Because mastering what you do will be more beneficial to the people than you trying to do everything.
Fact. Yep, that's real. And so, tell me about the street Sufis, man. For those that don't know.
Oh man, that's something Brother Ngozi came up with. He always used to call himself the street Sufi, but we were just building one day, and around that time, I think I was dealing with the lessons, and I was studying Orthodox Islam, and you know, Brother Ngozi come from a Muslim background. His father's a Muslim and his mother's a Muslim, so he come from that background, and he used to study at 122. He used to study with the gods. So we was just building about Islam, period. He was like, you know what, man? He was like, you were gonna be the street Sufis, bro. And I was like, so we came up with it like we just mess with all, like, we don't deny no book. Like, even though we don't mess with Abrahamic religion, we can pull a jewel out the Bible. We can pull the jewels out the Quran. Yeah. We can pull the jewels out the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas, and because us looking at it from a scientific perspective, those are all books that Homo sapiens put together to better themselves at the end of the day. And so, yeah, go ahead, bro.
No, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. I would just, do you see, and so whenever you see the jewels in these books, do you see like similarities within like all these different systems from around the world? Yeah.
Man, all these systems are telling you basically the same thing, man. Once you get down to the basic message.
Right.
The basic message is, man, you know, what they calling God, it worked through man at the end of the day, bro. So in order to get close, like the kingdoms they talking about is supposed to be on earth, bro. So if you ain't working towards that goal, are you really living by what you say you living by?
Right.
You know, people will be Christian on Sunday and be terrible the rest of the week. Like, that's not what your book's teaching you.
Right.
And so, and another thing about the street Sufi thing is we wanted to be able to deal with this stuff and not look at it like an Orthodox member of these systems look at it. Like, it's no problem for me to study ancient Kemet and then study the Quran. Because like I said, I could pull the jewels out of all of it, man.
Right.
Like, because, you know, and another thing we was doing was being African descendants. Another thing we want to do with the street Sufi thing is show and prove that the Abrahamic gods and these other gods ain't no better than our gods we had on the continent.
Right.
We should talk about Amen and pray to Amen the same way they pray to Allah, bro.
Right.
Like, it's nothing. It should be no separation. Because, like I said, man, when you study because a Sufi at the end of the day is a mystic.
Yeah.
You know, people hear the word Sufi automatically think Islam, but Sufi just means wool. The Arabs gave it that word. Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, a Sufi is a mystic. You can be a Kemetic and be a mystic.
Right.
You can practice Ifa and be a street Sufi. Right. Like, that's another thing I want to say. People say street Sufi. Oh, y'all Orthodox. Nah.
Yeah.
You can be Rakim. You're 5%, you a street Sufi.
Right.
You see, it don't matter. We got Brother Hero a Buddhist, a practicing Buddhist. He's a street Sufi.
Right.
He don't look at Buddhism like an Asian man at a mosque look at it.
Right.
You know, we just do it our own way, man. Like, I don't look at ancient Kemet like an Egyptologist look at it.
Right.
You know, because I do it my own way.
Right. That's real, man. And so that's the time now, man. I want to say, man, I appreciate you coming on, bro, and We definitely gonna do this again soon,
Oh yeah,
man.
it's love, bro, man. Yeah. We
You know what I'm
definitely, you got
saying?
to come on my show one time
Oh
too,
yeah, I
bro. We're
got you,
gonna get it
man. I
in.
got you. Whenever you ready, just let me know.
Bet, bet, bet.
All right,
You make
G.
me. I'm about to use Zoom too, bro, because I like this format too.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, and hit me up after the show, and I'll show you some. I got you on a few things.
Bet, bro. Yeah, it was good building with you, bro. We gotta do this. We can do this as much as you want, man.
All right,
I'm
for
always
sure.
down.
For sure, man. Appreciate you, G.
All right, peace.
Peace.